side. My name is Murat Gül. I'm responsible for exterior interior design for everything that is not a transit in Ford of Europe. So a lot of brands that we are taking care of in Cologne and in the UK. I'm very excited this evening to stand in front of you because I've been around for about 20 years in Ford, almost 20 years, and this kind of projects don't happen on a daily basis. Yeah? So it's a special project also from a design point of view, and I'd like to give you tonight some insights, how it happened, why it happened, and why it looks the way it looks. And you all drove it today, you saw the car today, and you made up your minds about the design. I hope you like it, but it's a really special project, and I'd like to spin back a little bit my experience. One of my first projects in Ford, where I was majorly involved as a junior designer at the time, was the first generation Cougar. And it was a special project because, again, we did this car and we wanted to make it stick out of the crowd. The design was very important in this segment. And the first Cougar really managed to capture this emotion that really positioned the car on the competitive landscape and gave it a special spot in this competitive landscape. And I think with Puma we wanted to do the same thing. We knew that this segment obviously is one of the fastest growing segments in Europe, and the exterior design in particular is actually the entry ticket to have a successful product, because we know that customers they buy the cars based on looks, and all the other aspects they come in, they weigh in, but exterior design is really the door opener for all these consumers. So we went in there and really thought heavily about what we can do to make this car stand out. You're coming to this party and you want to be noticed, and how are you going to be noticed in this marketplace? So what AMCO is talking here about is one of those aspects that we consider to be called as human-centric design. And it's not just from my point of view, from my kind of designer translation of human-centric design, because you can call it, you can think, oh, it's a marketing phrase, but I found my own translation for me as a designer, and I think it's about delivering this spectrum. On one hand, you have this beautiful car with all the sculpture and with all the surfacing. It's absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. On the other hand, our customers, they will not have any compromises because they buy this beautiful design. So that's, from my point of view, this is what we are doing with human-centric design. So we're offering something unique with the usability of the daily use that is not compromised in any way. So yeah, the brief was very easy. Just design a beautiful car, and then living big in a small space. What I explained, that the car has some incredible capabilities. So the exterior is beautiful, but the interior and the luggage compartment offers up all these unique things that no other car in the segment does, and that's this bridge that we managed to cross from my point of view with this design. And we started very early about, as I mentioned earlier, we started early to think about what we can do to make it different, and we sat together with the marketing team and the planning team and the engineering team. Design point of view, we said we need to have certain proportions to enable certain design criteria, and they really supported us. And actually the design department became this epicenter of all these activities. All these departments were joining us, looking at the designs. We were talking about, never done that way in Ford before. All these guys came in and we had these group sessions. We called this the energy room. So there was a really special kind of way of working together. And you can see the designers, they had a clear vision from the very beginning, from the very early phase of sketching, that we wanted to create this sculptural, muscular car. And this 3D that you see in the car today, when you see the highlights of the beautiful sculpture, was already in the very first sketches. And we always kept coming back actually to this one sketch, because that is something unique. Sometimes in design, for many reasons, you deviate from the very original idea and you end up with something else. But in this case, this was done very early on the sketch, and actually, if you look at the car today, we really managed to be very close and authentic to the sketch with the lamps and the high fender, this muscle in the back, this expression of the front end. So we were always kind of checking us back and forth against this one sketch, and I think it's the purity of the design if you can really manage to do that. And we go back to this one single sketch. I'm very proud of the purity of the vehicle actually. And if you see this vehicle, it doesn't have a lot of lines, it doesn't have a lot of gimmicky design surfacing. It's very pure, it's very simple, but there's only a few lines, only actually this big uninterrupted line that starts at the fender and goes all the way to this point here and then kicks up, and this haunch in the back. It's a very, very energetic, but it's a simple design, and I think it will age well also over time because of the simplicity. And again, it's something in design you always want to do. You want to design simple cars, but sometimes the geography or the sculpture of the car doesn't allow you. But in this case, we managed. Also, I'd like to point out to you what we call anti-wedge. If you saw the car today, the attitude of the vehicle is actually downwards. So you have the highest one on the fender and everything goes down to this point behind the pillar and then kicks up again. And that gives the car again a unique kind of feel. Usually in the segment cars have a little bit of wedge, like our Fiestas and Focus, they're all a bit wedge. This is anti-wedge and this stands out for that reason as well. It's a very unique character on the road. And then also another thing that you probably saw today, the fact that we detach the A-pillar from the body side, what helps this line to be uninterrupted. And so you don't see the pillar touching the body, and just gives a different kind of personality to the whole fender and to the whole side view. Almost in certain perspectives, it looks like a rear-wheel drive car. It's a unique feature for this kind of segment. I made this statement because in Ford we do also market research. We check our proposals against the competition, and the result for the Puma was so strong that we had never had this in Ford. It was off the charts almost. And so we had, as a design department, we had all the ammunition to talk to anybody in the Ford world and say we really need to deliver like this. So this helped us to align everybody, that maybe some skeptics somewhere. Everybody aligned behind us, and we managed to deliver this design theme. We understood that there was a jewelry in there. Again, we saw the front today, and it's also for me important to talk about the front end. So what we did on the front end, we played with the architecture of the lamps and the grille. Usually in Ford vehicles, the lamps are on this level here, and they're kind of working together with the Ford DNA grille. On this vehicle, we positioned the lamps higher, and we made this very sculptural hood that you see. And we call the lamps, they're a little bit inspired by Ford GT, also with the daytime running light, this interlocking shapes. I'm really proud of this front end as well, because it's a characteristic, very characteristic, special face, and it sticks out of the crowd, but not in an awkward way. And there's a lot of competitors in this segment that are trying all kind of different facial expressions, and some of them are trying really hard. This one is settled, this one is confident, and I really like the fact that it's also approachable. Yeah, so this is not an aggressive looking car, but again, they managed to do that kind of approachable, friendly feel, but at the same time, it's still confident. So there's a fine balance between this, and I think this does a really good job at it, that it feels still optimistic and confident. And you can see the tensions that I talked about earlier. So you got this coupe-ish, sporty styling that looks really, it's under tension, it wants to go. At the same time, you have this flexibility that the rear end offers, the cargo space. So that was the tension that we talked about. And again, you can see this front end is playful in a way, is happy, is friendly, but is still a confident front end that expresses a certain sportiness, a little bit of this aggressiveness that you also need in the daily driving. So that's for me one of the big points on this vehicle, is the front end, the expression of the front end. And as you saw today, we have the ST line. I think most of you drove the ST line. Today this is our sporty performance inspired vehicle. And we did a lot of work around these areas on the lower, on the skid plates and these claddings to differentiate the ST line, and I'll show you the titanium later. You saw it as well as a static display on this lunch stop. All these little details, this performance-inspired details, the stitching, the little inlays of color, enhance the sportiness of this vehicle. Yeah, this is the interior of today's car, and you can see also this steering wheel that is flat on the bottom, and all this performance-oriented detailing on this interior. And the titanium is also an interesting one, because I really like the titanium as well, because it's the more rugged looking one. It's got the body colored claddings, and it's got these black claddings and the skid plate. It actually has a unique front and unique rear bumper, and the aspect ratio of the grille is a little bit different to the titanium, to the ST line. And inside, it's a very warm, like an extension of your home kind of character, with warm materials, and makes you feel welcome, and all the features that it has, with the zipper seats and the massaging function. It's a very warm, welcoming place. And yeah, this is the titanium interior here. I think this concludes my little design presentation. So I think I will hand over to Sigurd from here. So thank you for your attention, and please contact me this evening if you want to talk design a little bit more in detail. If you have any questions, I'm really happy to answer. So thank you.